Students, today we'll start with chapter 10, that is in economics, that is budget. Now let us see the topics that are not covered in that. 10 point, please mark it in your textbook. 10.2, that is the purpose of a budget. In that, to obtain the approval of the body of elected representatives, to get an idea regarding the available resources, providing direction for allocation of resources, and for knowledge of the public. All these 4 subtopics are not there in your syllabus. After that, 10.12, that is the idea of budgets of different tiers of governments in India. In that we have 3 subtopics, that is 10.12.1, concept of union budget, 10.12.2, an idea of the budget of the state governments in India, and 10.12.3, the budget of local governments. After that, the topic that is excluded from the syllabus is 10.13, the functions of panchayat and its sources of revenue. In that 10.13.1, the sources of income of a panchayat, and 10.13.2, the functions of a panchayat. The last topic that is not there is 10.15, the effects of preparing a budget. So again I repeat the topic, 10.2, 10.12, 10.13 and 10.15 are excluded from the syllabus. This is merely, the explanation would be merely for your understanding. Now let us start with the term budget. Budget is necessary so that long-term goals can be made and work towards its achievement. It helps to control the spending, track of the expenses and save the money. Budgeting can help us to make better financial decisions, prepare for emergencies, get out of debt, etc. Now let us understand why it is important for the government to prepare the budget. The proper resources of allocation of funds, identifying areas of weakness, helps the government to allocate resources in a useful and sustainable manner. This is one of the most fundamental objectives behind framing a government budget. In a democracy, no government can undertake activities or incur expenditures or raise the incomes without the approval of elected representatives in the constituted body. Now, before the commencement of a new financial year, a government in India presents before the elected body for its approval an estimated statement of expenditure and income, and such a statement is called a budget. The government budget is an annual statement that is made once in a year, showing the item-wise estimates, not actual, that we should remember, of the receipts and payments during a fiscal year. It is estimated for the next year. Fiscal year means first we start from the 1st of April to the 31st March of the next year. For example, 1st April 2020 to 31st March 2021. It can also be said as an accounting year. So fiscal year and accounting year means same. Budget is presented in the Parliament on such a day on which the President has said. If it is not said, then on the last working day of the February it is presented. The Constitution has assigned power to a 3-tier government, the central government, the state government and the local government. All of them have their own budget. They have their own list of responsibilities and sources of revenue, which is stated in the Constitution of India, which is called the federal finance. Now, before we understand the term federal finance, let us understand what is federal system. Where the government functions are divided between 2 sets of authorities, that is the central government and the state government, it is called federal system. Now, federal finance, as discussed the term before, refers to the system of assigning the source of revenue to the central as well as the state government for the efficient discharge of their respective functions. The responsibility of the central government are uniform for all states and are of utmost importance, example defense, railways, etc. Different states have subjects which have regional importance and they differ or vary from state to state. The concurrent list is a list of 52 items which is given in the Constitution of India. It includes the power to be considered by both the union and the state government. The uniformity is desirable but not essential on items in the concurrent list. Now looking into the topic of meaning of budget followed by the elements. The meaning is, as you can see, a government budget is an annual accounting statement. Annual means which is prepared once in a year. Of the item-wise estimates, it shows the list of estimates, that is figures which are mere estimates, they are not real. The item-wise of expected revenue, that is another word for income, and anticipated expenditure, that means the expended expenditure or expenses of the government for a new fiscal year or an accounting year. So what you have to remember is it is an annual accounting statement. It is prepared item wise. They are mere estimates, that is we can say only figures which are tentative. They may not be real, of expected revenue and expected expenditure or anticipated expenditure for a new fiscal year. Now let us look into the elements. The annual means which is done once in a year. The accounting statement, it is a statement which presented to the Parliament every year under Article 112 of the Constitution of India. It requires the government to present to the Parliament a statement of estimated receipts and expenditure in respect of every financial year from April 1st to 31st March. It is divided into three parts. We're talking about the budget, that's divided into three parts: the consolidated fund, the contingency fund, that is fund which is kept for emergencies, and the public account. For each of these funds, the government has to present a statement of receipt and expenditure. Now elements, it is the first one, it is a statement of the government's receipts and expenditure which is prepared for a fixed period of time, as stated earlier, from the 1st of April to the 31st March of the next year, that is usually one financial year, with the objective of economic development. So it is statement, it is for one fixed period, the objective is economic development. The fourth point is it is required to be approved by the Lok Sabha or Assembly, as stated earlier, that in India the particular government cannot raise incomes, cannot do any expenditure without the prior approval. So it has to be required to be passed or approved by the Lok Sabha or Assembly or some such public body before its implementation. And as told earlier and discussed earlier, the budget is declared by the finance minister of a country, state, or the head of a governing body, either on the date set by the president or on the last working day of February, whichever is acceptable by the ministers. The next topic that we are going to cover is the purpose of a budget.